I am starting the recording now. This message is for the replay viewers because I know most of you are going to be watching this on replay. My whole goal and mission here, and the first thing I want to say and just get it out there, I'm not the expert. I'm by no means an expert. If I had a group of 150,000 members, maybe I'd call myself the expert. But I'm not. But what I am doing here is I've been researching and collecting information from the real experts out there and trying to figure out how we can bring that information into our sphere so that we can use groups, specifically patient-focused groups, to help us meet our goals. And so each of us are going to have different goals. Some of us are just going to be about profit. Some of us are going to be about community. Some of us are going to be about education. Like, I love teaching. Clearly, that's why I'm doing this, because I enjoy sharing ideas and knowledge and information. I never think I know it all. I think I know less than most. But the idea is I've got a platform now that I can share this information. And, like Kaylee's question, it helps me organize my own thoughts. You probably all know it. You learn better when you teach. So in the process of teaching, I'm improving. I've learned so much getting ready for this webinar. I can't even believe the stuff that I had no idea about. So what we'll do, everybody is on mute right now. As people come in, please feel free to just interrupt me, ask me questions. If you're watching this on a replay, absolutely, you can email me. You can direct message me through Facebook. I'm going to leave Facebook and Messenger up in the background, so you might hear some dings. But this way, if any people from there have some questions, they can reach out to us. So let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen. Hey, Rob.
Howdy, sir.
I just gave a long-winded intro. Excuse me. So I am going to mute you, but if you have any questions or need anything, just shout it out there. I said this is a real informal. I wish I had a cup. That shows you how much wine I drink. I wish I had a glass of wine and David Bailiff was on here and we could talk about his new group, but I'm sure he'll be joining us shortly. So let's see what we've got here. Let me, just so you guys know, I didn't even realize this. This is part of Google Docs. They have like their version of PowerPoint. And here it is. So tonight's talk is going to be how to grow a patient-focused Facebook group. Now, most of you know we have our Facebook group for the telehealth. I have a Medicare billing Facebook group. Rob has some groups. I mean, groups are just so powerful these days. And we're going to get into the difference between a profile, a page, and a group. But the idea is when you think of group, when I think of group, I think of a community. I think of people coming together who are of the like mind for a specific topic. And that's what makes groups so powerful. I also appreciate the privacy of the group. You're going to see later on that a lot of the people that apply to our group, I don't accept. And so keeping kind of a tight-knit security blanket around the group allows members in the group to feel safe, to be comfortable. So whether it's a patient group where people are talking about, private things related to their healthcare, or it's a business group where maybe you don't want to share certain personal information about your business's performance. The group offers you that security blanket that I think is really important to let your guard down and really get into building relationships. And a great example is Rob. Rob lives on the other side of the country. I never would have run into him. We never would have crossed paths, but we ended up being in a couple of the same groups. I started following his content, and he and I have developed this great relationship over the years that we've known each other, because we've been able to build that, get to know each other, get to like each other, and get to trust each other. And so that's going to be a big topic here tonight. But let's start off with what I'm seeing I love Simon Sinek and he talks about his golden circle, the why, the how, the what. I think we can all relate to that. And so let's talk about a why. I asked for a couple whys in the group. Why do people want to get their groups going? And it's everything. I mean, it's like, why for you personally, you as the clinician, whether you're a PT, OT, speech therapist, why do you want a group? Is it for networking? Is it for marketing? Is it for sales? I'll tell you, for me, primarily it's to drive sales. It's to make a profit. It's to bring a collective group of people together around a specific topic who then are ready to purchase either what I'm selling or what I'm endorsing. Now, I'm not selling anything right now. I don't have anything to sell to you. I wish I could pitch you on something at the end of this, but I just don't have anything yet. But the patient care groups is really where I'm focusing on how I take a person in Arizona and I'll share this story, bring her into the group, help her, bring her peace of mind, help her get to, the point where she could start to trust and ask questions and be comfortable. And then if it came to it, she has a chance to reach out to me through a telehealth platform or through a telephone call or some other service. But she also has local physical therapists who are there to care for her. And so that's been kind of my main why on the patient side. On the professional side, I just want to get to know you guys. I want to know who's out there. I want to know what you guys are doing. I'm a big believer that the more of us kind of brainstorm together and tell each other, hey, that was amazing, or hey, that was terrible, what are you even thinking? Like, I've been putting out these videos that I know they're not the greatest, but I need to do something. I need to get the ball rolling. And so right now, everybody has been super sweet and super nice and like constructive. Well, not constructive, complimentary. But eventually, somebody's going to start to get constructive and be like, hey, that other video was awesome, but this was total junk, So, and again, you can't do that if you don't trust each other. The other part of groups that I think is so fascinating, I think of it like real estate, So there's a famous Mark Twain quote, buy land, they're not making any more of it, right? And so when you think of a group, a Facebook group specific to a condition, we're basically in that world where we're creating land. We're creating that, all the property in Malibu is sold. We want more waterfront property. We're just going to build it. And so once I have this physical, tangible asset, now I can leverage that to take me down the path toward my next goal. In terms of why we're doing it for the community, 100%, we're giving information, we're providing question and answer, we're increasing access. I mean, how many patients are out there who will never get to see or ask questions to a physical therapist? They're scared, they're intimidated, the cost is too high. I'm a big believer that now with the internet, information basically is free. It's a commodity that's free, but it's so overwhelming. There's so much out there that what people will pay for is somebody to filter it and help get them the information that's really applicable to them. And that's obviously where we come in. We're the experts. We can siphon through the pages and pages of information and try to get them the most appropriate, evidence-based, legitimate research that we can find. So that's where the why for the community comes in. Now let's talk a little bit about your origin story, right? Crafting and recording your story. And I'm going to show you a couple videos in a little bit. But back to why would anybody want to come to your group, follow your group, join your group? This relates to your page and your profile also. So I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to kind of indulge and tell you a little bit about myself, where I came from, why I'm here, and think of what I'm saying to you, because I'm sharing this as a clinician. So as a clinician, I got my bachelor's degree in kinesiology back in I went to college in 97, graduated with a bachelor's in 2000, got hired as a exercise tech for an outpatient hospital-owned clinic that was located in a YMCA. I worked for about a year and I just couldn't take it anymore. Like I wanted to make things better. I wanted to change policy. I wanted to improve the systems, and I couldn't do any of that because it was a hospital-based system. So what I ended up doing was I worked for a year. I saved every penny I had. And then I went out there and opened my own place. I was not a physical therapist. So I couldn't open a clinic, but I opened a personal training studio. I rented 800 square feet, spent about $10,000 in equipment, and started doing personal training. So technically, I started as a cash-based business. I ran that for about 6 to 12 months. During that time, I recruited a physical therapist who I had worked with in the hospital. She was amazing. She was the kind of therapist that would light up the room when she walked in. Patients were laughing and smiling. She made everybody happy, and she was incredibly smart. So we together had 2 separate businesses operating in the same location. She had a physical therapy clinic. I had a personal training studio. Over the next year, we basically just switched. Everything went into physical therapy. She convinced me to go back to school, that I needed to get my physical therapy degree and then licensure for 2 reasons. One, I just love physical therapy. I loved it more than personal training, more than performance and athletes. Plus, she said, PTs aren't going to listen to you if you're not a physical therapist. They're not going to trust you. They're not going to listen to you. They're not going to work for you. So I did. I applied. I got in down in South Florida. I commuted back and forth about 3 hours at the beginning and end of the week. So we had 2 physical therapy clinics in Sarasota, Florida. I was going to school down in South Florida, and Kathy was our only physical therapist. We had 1 front desk. I graduated in 2006. We opened a 3rd location and decided we were going to get married and move to Ohio. So we opened a 4th location in Ohio, a 5th location a year later. By 2007, we were running 5 locations across 2 states. We had a full staff, PTs and PTAs, administrative. We were doing our own billing. We do our own marketing. We did everything. And the basic philosophy was we felt that we could do a better job, see fewer patients, and probably make more money than working for somebody else. And that was the case. And we built a culture around, we don't need to see huge volumes. We don't need to make tons of money. As long as everybody within the organization had the ability to get to where they wanted to go, the business was a vehicle for all of us, employees and owners, to get to where we want to go. We were happy. And so we started to downsize in 2010, 11. A couple of our employees opened their own clinics. We stayed with 1 clinic down in Florida until this year. We sold that clinic to the guys who had been running it for a decade. Now we have 2 clinics left in Ohio. And still, now we're 18 years in, my basic philosophy is the same. The intervention doesn't matter. Patients just need to move. They need to get healthy. Most of what we do in orthopedic outpatient adult care is we're dealing with really chronic disease and lifestyle. We see very few true injuries. And so I needed a way to reach these people that would help them.
That's all right, you're learning.
That would help them beyond just the interventions. The stuff that we learned in school was basically intended for acute injuries. I wasn't seeing acute injuries in the clinic. We'd see some post-op, of course, but most of my patients were persistent pain, chronic conditions, including comorbidities like obesity and hypertension and diabetes and all these other things. So I say it's like their house is on fire and they're coming to me because the candle is lit in the kitchen. Well, I've got this shoulder pain. Yeah, but what about all your other comorbidities? Oh, I'm on meds for all that. It's fine. Well, no, it's not. And so I was looking to patient groups as a way to bring and kind of aggregate and get these people together, let them see other people's success stories and failures, let them hear from me and from the rest of us. And all of a sudden I realized, this is such a tremendous platform. There is so much power within what we can do and who we can reach. And it's such a lower barrier to entry. And that was a big thing when I said access. You know, a lot of people would never go into a physical therapy clinic. I have friends and family who could see me for free, probably the best therapist they're ever going to have access to, air quotes, just joking. But seriously, and they won't come. They just won't come to see me because therapy is not on their radar. They don't want to do it. You know, they're intimidated, they're scared. So the group is an easy way to just let them come in, let them observe, kind of drop all the guards and start to get that message out. So that being said, let's address Kaylee's question now, which is what's the difference? You know, what's the benefit of having a group versus having a page or even a profile? And we're going to talk about that because you're going to need to use all three of these tools to get to where you want to go. But basically, let's just kind of big picture. And these are two videos that are great resources for you. I'll send out these notes and then you'll have them comparing what's a group, what's a page. But essentially, let's start with the profile. So some of you, I know I do this, you might read a post or a comment from somebody and you might really click with what it said. What's the first thing you do? You know, you like it, maybe you reply, and then you click on that person's little face and you go to their personal profile. And so that personal profile is basically the billboard for that person. And you know what? I'm going to, let me see if I can get out of this real quick. Let's make this a little more interactive. So if you came to my personal profile, right, what do you see? This is where we are. I realized, and this was something I didn't even know, you know, this background image is a billboard, right? So I'm going to promote tonight's webinar because anybody who sees my post is going to go to my profile first. And the first thing I want them to know is, hey, we're doing a free webinar tonight. I'm going to change this background image as soon as this webinar is over tonight. But the idea is this is my professional profile. I never post anything about family or friends. I never post anything personal unless that's part of the branding that I want to bring to the community. But everything on my personal profile, my professional profile, is targeted toward other clinicians. And so as I scroll down, you know, I was promoting and talking about Nicole today and her group reaching 100 members for the first time. This is the infographic that I'm going to send out along with this webinar, you know, a couple of my Facebook lives. I mean, everything here, it's all professional. This is a sample ad that I posted just only to me because I want to go back and kind of reverse engineer it. And then other parts of your professional profile. So let me get back up here. You've got obviously your list of friends, because when people are thinking about joining your group and we're going to leverage you, they're going to come here and they're going to want to see who you're friends with. Now, this is going to be a case of do as I say and not do as I do. But what I need to do, but I haven't done, is create a second professional profile specific to my knee replacement patient support group, because that's where I will friend every single patient that tries to contact me. I don't friend any patients on this page. This page has nothing to do with patient care. But if I have a second page, you know, Anthony Maritato, PT, knee replacement specialist, that's where I would actively friend every single patient or, you know, person who's having a knee replacement, because I want them to be part of my community when it comes to that. This kind of shows you here, okay, he's a physical therapist, you know, there's his location, his education. This photo is intentional because I kind of want people to see like, yeah, we're having fun in the clinic. Again, this is about clinic care. I want people to see I'm a treating clinician. I still treat patients on a day-to-day basis. And then you can see the other photos, again, all professional stuff. Friends. So if this was a page, a profile connected to a group, these would all be people in the group. And then as their friends, because let's face it, if you're in your 60s or 70s, you probably have friends who are getting knee replacements. Their friends are going to see they're in it. They're going to join the group. They're going to be more confident, more comfortable. so this is all basically branding. It's advertising, right? Now, I always say the biggest thing that gets in the way of us growing a successful group is, our own limitations. Like, I have never wanted to share anything about my family, about anything personal. I limit, like, I don't friend anybody who's not in this country. I don't friend everybody who sends me a friend request, I check them out. I look at their profile. I look at their content. I guarantee I delete more friend requests than I accept. And I put all of you on a list listed as clinical. So when I make a new post, it only goes out to my clinical list. So these are all little hacks, but this is part of the success down the road for your group. And I totally got off track. I'm sorry. Let me get back in here. But okay, so what's a group page profile? So a profile is about you. People are buying into you. They want to know your story, where you're from, what you do. They want to connect to you. Now, a page is basically like a billboard, right? So a business page, you probably have a fan page. People can like the page. They're not usually going to see much of anything that's posted on the page unless they make the effort to go to the page. It's almost become like a website. Anybody can view the content that's on the page. You need a page to run Facebook ads, and that's going to be part of this whole strategy. But basically a page, kind of like a brochure, kind of like a display. There's not a whole lot of engagement or interaction. Some people have massive pages. I think I have like 1,160 people on my business Facebook page. But you will need a page to grow your group. Because now let's get to the group. So what's the thing with the group? And if you understand anything about funnels, your profile is kind of your biggest funnel, right? That's the entrance to your funnel. Everybody is going to go to your profile to see who you are. Then if they like you, the next step in the funnel is going to be there. Some of them are going to go to your page and they're going to check out the page. They're going to read some of the posts. They're going to get a sense for what kind of stuff you're doing. And then if they like what's on your page and you set up everything correctly, they're going to get funneled into your group. Now the group, you might have 10,000 that go to your profile, 5,000 that go to your page, 1,000 that end up in your group. But the 1,000 that end up in your group are your 1,000 true fans. These are the people that they agree with you. They share your philosophy. They love the content that you're doing. They're actively seeking this information from you, as opposed to you trying to hit them over the head with your messaging. So these are the people in the group that's your close knit, your ideal avatar, your perfect client. And they're protected from outside influence. And that's, Kaylee, why the page, anybody has access to the page. It's just kind of out there. You're pushing stuff. Whereas the group, people are saying, hey, we're part of this team together. We're kind of protected from outside influence, and we've proven that we want to be here. We're actively seeking you out because we answered the questions to get into the group. We applied to get into the group, and now you've accepted us. And so I always say, like, if you're thinking about running a Facebook ad, certainly you can target a certain demographic. But if you have a group of 1,000 people, think about this for a second. I think the math was, if you can have 1,000 people and you can get 500 of those people to be so engaged and so active in your group that when you open a subscription-based model, you can start to charge, I'll get to this, $100 a month, 500 people. I want to say that's $600,000 a year. $100 a month, 500 people, that's $600,000 a year. Imagine the resources you could bring to that community for that kind of revenue, $600,000 at $100 a month. It's just mind-boggling how those numbers scale. And so that's the difference between the profile, the page, and the group. The group is that intimate little, you're engaging and connecting. There's back and forth with these members, as opposed to the page that's just kind of pushing information out there. And the profile, that's more just, kind of information about you. So let's get into, and if anybody has a question, either unmute your mic and ask me, or post it in the chat feature, because I think I get a notification if you do. But basically what we need, the way this works, is we need to go from, I'm sorry, here, let me get back. Oh, yeah. So this is where we were. So what kind of groups are out there, right? We need to find a niche. Who's our niche? Do we want to be wide? Do we want to be deep? Do we want to be wide and deep? This graphic up here at the top, it's a knee replacement support, a total knee replacement support group. They have over 6,500 members in there right now, and there's tons of posts every day. You know, this is a gardening. Fitz is a physical therapist down in Florida. I am just having a blast watching the content he's putting out. But he's creating a group for patients where he can put together a gift he has in gardening with his licensed physical therapy services, right? So I think it's the most amazing niche. I just love it to death. Back underneath his, you see there's a quilting group. And I was just pulling this up, like, look, there's 128,000 members in this quilting group, 10 posts a day or more. You know, this quilting group has 87,000 members. This one, 144,000 members. I'm not saying we want to make groups that big, for sure. We really want, sorry, I keep clicking on it. We really want groups that are small and engaged, right? 100,000 people who don't care about you aren't worth 100 people who are just dying to hear everything you have to say and are willing to, you know, pay for your services and just want to be part of your community. So I think in healthcare, in our niches, whatever we are looking to do, I think 1,000 members is amazing. I think that's a great group. It's small enough that you can still interact with everybody, but it's large enough that you have some scale. And, you know, I just think if I was setting a goal, my first goal would be, I want my first 100 members, and then I want to hit 1,000, and then I'd be happy. Because most likely, if you've got, like me, a knee replacement support group, they come to you when they need you. When they don't need you, they don't engage, but they probably didn't leave the group, you know, and they're probably just hanging out there. So like even in our physical therapy student group, I think there's 36,000 members. I wonder how many are actively engaged in that group and how many are, you know, gone into their career and don't ever think about it again. So let's look at a 3-part formula for building a successful group that will reach your goals, whatever your goals may be. And so the first part is we need that professional profile. That's where people are going to go just to know you. Who are you? Right? If people don't know you, they can't like you and they can't trust you. Then you're going to create a group page. Now, these are things that I never did before, and I can't believe I never did it. But that's why I said I'm not the expert, but I'm bringing you the expert advice from others. So the group page is where you're going to post content that you produce. You're going to share information about the group. You're going to share stuff that's maybe circulating through the group. This way, when an outside person is thinking about either their problem, looking for a solution, or found your group and isn't quite sure what's going on, they can't see it because it's closed, but they can go to your page. And once that page produces enough content for them to realize, hey, this is something I really need, then they can join your group as long as they meet your criteria, because you're going to screen everybody who comes through the group. So a 3-part formula for building a successful patient-focused group. You need a professional profile, not family, not friends, no cat videos, just a professional profile on your specific niche. You need a group page, and then, of course, you need a closed group, right? All right, let's jump past that. Let's take a look at a couple that are out there. Let me see, whoops, if I can move this over. So one of my favorite, Paul Goff, right? I mean, this guy is just incredible. I've been following him for years. Everything he puts out is gold. So this is his personal page, his personal professional page. Right off the bat, when I first heard him, I heard his podcast. I was like, who is this guy? Where is he from? What is he doing? This is where I went. Before I could trust him, before I could know him, I had to come here to figure out who he was. Now, what's interesting is he doesn't indicate that he's a physical therapist here. He does say that he was a former professional soccer player and physical therapist. We see Jared Carter. We see more PTs that we know kind of professionally. And then if you scroll through his feed, so much of this is all about helping physical therapists with marketing, with writing copy, with sales. But then you look here, and I mean, this is a huge part. I was fortunate enough to meet Paul, I think 2 years ago. And, his kids are just such a big part of his life, just like me. And so this gives him he's a real person. He's a real person. He's not, over polished. He's not too salesy. Like, he's in his shirt, his Nike gear. He's ready to go. He's athletic. Like, this makes him likable to the people he wants to like him. So just think about that when you're looking at your personal professional profile, because like I said, this is where people are going to come. We already went through my profile, so I'm not going to waste any time with that. But then we go to a group page. And so I said, so on your professional profile, you need to have pointers to your group page. And so once, why do we need a group page? We need it for Google or Facebook ads. That's where people preview the content in the group since they can't see what's going on in the group. And I always say it's like a low commitment offer. Instead of joining the group that you don't know anything about, this is basically the first date, right? Going to your profile is your introduction. It's, hey, Rob, this is John. John, that's Rob. Okay, cool. What do you do? Where are you from? Get that information. And then, hey, let's go hang out. Let's have a beer. Let's talk about business after work. It's the first bromance, right? The first date comes on. That's what the group page is. The problems with the page is whatever happens in the group stays in the group. It needs to get out of the group so people can see it. A page gives a prospect a chance to see what's going on in the group and start to build some rapport with you because it's your group. Remember that. This is your real estate. You're building this asset. An asset eventually will put money in your pocket. A liability just takes money out of your pocket. So you're building a digital asset that will persist beyond your career, right? The biggest complaint I get from physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists is, I can only treat so many patients in the day. I can only treat patients for so many years in my life. What am I supposed to do after that? You need to build assets, and this group is an asset that you are building. Okay. That's all from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, if you're interested. So one of my favorites is Pat Flynn. Pat Flynn has smart passive income. He's an amazing guy. He's successful in so many different ways, but check out his workflow. So there's a video at the end of this I'm going to share with you guys, and I shared it, I think, in the email confirmation. But anyway, Pat says, look, when somebody first hears of me, I want them to go to my profile page, learn about me, who I am, right? Like, he does big speaking events. He helps kids. This is one of his foundations, I think. But then from there, he wants them to go to his group page, not his group, but his group page, where he posts content and keeps people. Look, he's got 155,000 likes. He's got over 12,000 followers on his profile, and then from his page, once he's built trust, rapport, then he wants to bring them into his group. And so in his group, he's got 38,000 members, more than 10 posts a day. And this is really, the group is really where he kind of closes the deal. That's where he sells his courses. That's where, and he's not a high pressure sales person. He's just like, look, if you need help with this, I've got a course. You can buy it or you can do it yourself, and he's just a likable guy. He's a good guy. So this is the workflow that if you're ready and thinking, hey, I want to, use a group, leverage a group to get more patients in my brick and mortar clinic, to direct patients to telehealth services, to sell subscription-based monthly services like wellness, nutrition, anything, even teaching classes. Like a huge need that we don't have, and it blows my mind, is I want 20 or 30 therapists to produce a knee replacement class that's pre-op and post-op, just like the ones they would do at the hospital, but you would do it on a digital platform. We would sell it for 40 or 50 bucks. And the idea is, I guarantee with having that variety of resources, lots of different therapists, you're all going to do something different. You're all going to have little niches and little personalities. And imagine a world where a patient, instead of getting a doctor referral to go to therapy and having no idea who they're going to see, the patient could review profiles, read bios, look at different clinicians and be like, yes, that is the person. Kaylee is the person I want to see. I totally relate to her. Like it completely changes the model of care delivery. And so these kinds of things allow us to do that. So, all right, looks like I've got a question. Definitely needed. Okay, a comment. Thanks, Rob. So let's move on. Let me clear this stuff out. And let's talk about the mechanics now of building the group, right? There's 3 kinds of groups. There's a public group, there's a closed group, and there's a secret group. For this purpose, we're going to deal with closed groups. Public groups are just too accessible, and really the people who are going to get in there are just a bunch of, people that are producing spam and trying to sell stuff and collecting and harvesting information about people in the group. I don't know why anybody would have a public group other than, a politician or something like that. But the closed group gives us the privacy, allows us to control who comes into the group. You would never let some random person holding a gun and a mask walk into your clinic, right? So the closed group basically allows you to control who's coming in, allows you to kick out whoever you want to kick out. And that's really where the value is. The secret group could be a next step. It could be a mastermind. You've got a closed group of 1,000, and then maybe you open a secret group to a select 20 or 30. And these could be people that are paying you that $100 a month, or they're buying, whatever course you're producing. And along with it, they get into this secret group to kind of gain that extra access to you. But generally speaking, the closed group is going to be the main breadwinner for most of us. And so back to Simon Sinek's model, we talked about your why. Why do you want a group? Why do you do what you do? What's important to you? Why do we need it for the community? We just went through the how. How do we do it? You create a professional profile, you create a group page, and then you create your closed group. There is more than enough videos out there showing you exactly how to produce or create a closed group, the mechanics of it. I'm not going to spend time on that. And now the what. What are we actually doing with these groups? So obviously the main choices, right? Service delivery, PTOT speech, excuse me. We should be producing courses. I mean, think about this. Every time you produce a home exercise program, we're all different. We all have, our pros and cons and what we like, but I'll give you an example of myself. So I usually don't give anyone more than 3 exercises after an initial evaluation. My most common mode of doing that is either I use my phone or I use their phone. I record the 3 exercises. I give them a little audio over the recording to say, hey, this is what you're going to do. This is why you're doing it. This is how often and how frequently you're going to do it. And then I send it to them if it's on my phone, or I just give them their phone back and it's on their phone. That is not included in the cost of the evaluation. That's an extra service. We should be charging for that kind of service. And once I make 1 HEP for 1 non-surgical, rotator cuff tendinopathy, I bet I can use that same HEP for 1,000 other non-surgical rotator cuff tendinopathies. So the idea is, even if you sold an HEP for $10 instead of giving it away for free, and you archive it, you package it, you turn it into a mini course, and you sell it for $10 through your group, you have 1,000 people that buy your $10 course. And that's the first step on your value ladder to your $50 course, to your $250 consultation, to your $500 membership, right? Like, that's the way it goes. That's the business. That's the asset, the anatomy of the asset that you are building. And so you can't see 1,000 patients to produce 1,000 HEPs for the same time and resources that you can do one. Once you do that one, it's worth 1,000. So think about that. Courses, coaching, consulting, answering questions, talking to members. Like, if we have time, I'm going to try and show you a couple interactions I had with just a few patients in my knee replacement support group that I feel like the greatest value I can bring to somebody who isn't in my brick and mortar clinic is peace of mind, answering questions, bouncing ideas off each other. Somebody posted tonight, and I knew this was coming. She was asking about improving her knee flexion. I sent her, I put it in the group, a video of me teaching another patient who had limited range of motion how to kneel on a pillow on a recliner, like 12 inches of cushion, right? To work on self-mobilization, posterior tibial glide, like all this stuff. And her first question was, my doctor told me never kneel on my knee replacement. Clinician to clinician, there should be no reason not to kneel on a knee replacement, but I'm not the surgeon. I didn't put that hardware in. I don't know what was done. So I'm never going to go against the surgeon. But the idea is, this woman now is terrified for the rest of her life that she's never going to be able to kneel. And if she does kneel by accident, what kind of response is going to be in her body? So now I feel like it's my opportunity / obligation to help dissipate some of that fear, that anxiety, some of that negative self-talk that's going on in there, and help her free herself from some of those chains, because she's probably okay to kneel on a pillow, right? 8 inches thick. So anyway, coaching, consulting, being a representative. I did another little webinar where I interviewed a non-surgical orthopedic doc. And he said it would be amazing if patients came for their normal follow-ups and their physical therapist was on a HIPAA-compliant telehealth, platform on the patient's telephone. So the surgeon or the non-surgical guy, the patient, and the therapist could all be in the room together. He loved it. He said all of his partners would love it. Like, we should be the representative for our patients in the physician office. Certainly we should be paid for it. But the idea is, we need to help them understand what the doctor is saying, what they need to ask, help them remember their questions, all of that stuff. Like, that's all available to you once you build trust, once you get to know your members and they like you. Certainly mentorship, telehealth, wellness, like all of that stuff is available. It really is. I mean, this is a digital asset that should be putting money in your pocket the rest of your life, because if you build it correctly, you're not going to be the one that has to keep it going. It will continue to run on its own because the community will start to support itself. There was a time where I went through the telehealth platform, the concierge telehealth group. I didn't post for months because Rob and Matt Jeff and some of the others were doing all the posting for me. It was incredible. I was so grateful to them for doing that. And that's where your group will be once you foster that culture. So let's see what else we have here. So let's talk a little bit about summary. It's 7:44. I don't want to keep you guys too much longer. Knowledge is not the same as action. I shared all this information with you. I kind of threw it at you. It's like a fire hose in the face. So now what? Now what do you do with the information? Hopefully you take it. Hopefully you use it. You implement it. But the reality is, there's only 1,440 minutes in the day. If you're still seeing patients and you're still trying to grow your business and you're still trying to do all these other things, how do you get this stuff done? I don't have the answer. I'll tell you my story. So our goal when we started our business was that it would run independently, so that when we grew, when we started our family and we had our first child, we both wanted to be home full time. My wife achieved that goal. She was home full time with our firstborn. Then we had twins. Then we had a fourth child. They're all boys. I'm home probably most of the time. I go into the clinic still about 3 half days a week. I took a lot of time off. Yes, Heather, I'm sending all of this recorded to you. No worries. You'll have everything, including the slides, the audio, the video, everything. Sorry. So I took time off. Now my oldest is 10. My twins are 7. My youngest is 5. I'm starting to get back into the swing of things. I hardly worked at all this summer. We've been fishing every day and traveling, but I couldn't do that if I didn't have an asset that was paying me while I was away from patient care. And so for me, it was a business. We had the 5 locations. We grew the company. We still have it. We have 2 locations. But for you, it might not be a business with brick and mortar locations. It might be this. It might be 2 or 3 Facebook groups, each of which, have 1,000 members on a specific topic. And then in those groups, maybe each one has 150 to 200 members that are joining your wellness program, your subscription, paying you $100 a month, generating 500,000-600,000 in revenue. I mean, it's just crazy, but it's achievable. It's out there. These are the first steps. This is the information. Now it's time to take action, and this would be the spot that I would pitch you something. And, Rob and I had this conversation earlier where I'd be like, Rob, what should I do? Should I build a course? I don't want to build a course because I feel like every course that I buy, I hardly ever use. I hardly ever do it. You don't need more knowledge. You need to leverage other people's time. You need somebody to do it for you. So then I'm like, well, should I just build a group? Should I make an offer and be like, hey, what do you want to do for your group? I'll build your group to 1,000 members. Once we hit 1,000 members, you can pay me whatever, we agree on, and that's it. But this way, I will do all the work for you. I'll build your profile. I'll build your group page. I'll build your actual closed group. I'll get your members in there. I'll build, interaction with the members. I will build that piece of real estate and then sell it to you. This way, you don't have any cost up front. I don't know. If somebody's thinking about that and you want to talk to me about it, go ahead. At this point, I don't have anything to sell you. I don't have anything to close on. So I'm just going to jump to this real quick. Let me check these 2 chats. Digital contractor, yes. Okay. And so these are some of the numbers behind the Concierge Telehealth Group. This is probably the most successful group right now within the realm of what I'm doing, because certainly I'm putting the most time into this, but you can see here, this goes back November 2017 is when we started the group. We've been on a pretty steady trajectory. You can kind of see these little spots. Like Rob was doing a bunch of podcast interviews with some really amazing clinicians. We saw a big bump there. I started doing some stuff more recently, and then introduced the group to PTs, OTs, and speech therapists, and you see another big jump. But steady growth is what we're looking for, right? Every month, more engagement, more interactions. That's the kind of stuff that you're looking for. And then when you look over on the other side, let me move this. Like I said, I'm pretty strict. We only, for the most part, allow licensed clinicians in the group, mostly PTs, now OTs and speech. And for the most part, I don't know how some of these snuck in. Usually they're connected with a university or something, but in general, I try not to let anything happen outside the US. And mainly because I share a lot of personal screen shares and other information that I don't really want other people seeing. I don't know. This is still new to me. I'm 43 years old. I just got on Facebook probably 3-4 years ago, really, and started to engage. So I'm pushing past some of my comfort zone here, even just doing this webinar. But, the information you get. And so if this was a patient group, for example, like, look, Matt Jeffs, I mean, one of my best kind of promoters. If these were patients and this was a knee replacement group, you better believe I'm going to be targeting ads to all of these top 10s. I'm going to be recognizing them in the group. I'll probably do interviews with them in the group. Like, tell me about your experience. How was the knee replacement? What were the challenges? Because if I do stuff like that, that's going to get more engagement. That's going to scale even more. But I think what people are lacking is real stories from real people. I don't like testimonials. To me, testimonials are like Al-Qaeda videos. Like, you've got that person back up, like horrible fluorescent lighting, this terrible brick wall in the background. They're reading a script, or they're just like terrified in front of a camera. Nobody wants to see that. So we want real stories, real people, real engagement. I love real posts. I think it helps patients tremendously. Okay, so I am going to wrap it up. These are some of my favorite resources. I am not the expert. I never claimed to be the expert. I wish I was. If I was, I'd have a lot more money and probably, I don't know, I'd be out fishing somewhere. Pat Flynn, Rockstar. I'm not sure if that's really her name, but I've looked at a lot of her content, and it's really great content. And then this is just a channel, ignore that. But he has a really great lecture. It's a live lecture. The audio is really tough to hear, but he talks about growing a group without paid advertisement. Shoot, that reminds me. I mean, there's no way I could get through everything tonight. So there are strategies for using paid ads. I am toying with a couple of them. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but like Nicole's group for male PTs and pelvic floor, I tried to do some video for that, which is just like a personal, kind of testimonial. Thank you, Sarah. That means a lot. I'm just experimenting, and I think you guys need to experiment also. It's one thing to listen to the experts, but we are not the experts. I am never going to do something that's not comfortable to me, that's not within my nature, right? So I'm not a great writer. I don't write blogs. Other people aren't great on video. They're better at writing. Find the things that work for you, experiment with them, be real, be vulnerable, get yourself out there. I am just super excited to help you guys in any way possible. Richard Severin posted today. If you didn't see his post, go find it. I saved it. I wanted to share it with the group, but there are some really, really negative, just hard groups out there. The herniated disc support group and a couple other ones, and there are tens of thousands of members in these groups, and they're just perpetuating this message of disability and hardship, and you're never going to heal, and you need surgery and drugs, and there's no alternative. The only way to combat that stuff is with your own groups. So with that being said, thank you everybody for being on here. I'm always just so humbled by anybody who takes time to be on here and listen to even a fraction of what I have to say. You guys are really the driving force behind why I keep doing this. I have my clinic, I have my business, my family is my top priority. But at the end of the day, even the hardest day in the clinic, where you just have that group of patients that's drained you, I come down, I get on here, I look at what you guys are doing, and it fills my tank. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I'm going to end the session. I'll let this render, and by tomorrow, I'll go ahead and share it out to everybody who had a registered ticket for the event. You guys have an amazing night. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your day. I'll talk to you guys soon.